in Japan, like they sell onigiri, and it's actually kind of interesting. It's interesting because of the fact like it they have like onigiri, they have you know more medical needs. They have bread, like they actually have like all these things, and it's just like super cool. I love it. So in the news recently, I didn't know this until I started doing the research on this. But apparently, in the 1990s, 7-Eleven in America went bankrupt, and so another company, specifically a Japanese company, bought them out, and they just kind of let them do their own thing, and just like, okay, cool, whatever. Until recently, they're like, okay, this isn't working anymore. We're losing too much profit. We need to do something. Let's do some of the stuff we do in Japan here in the States. Which is funny because if you know anything about 7-Eleven and the history, it actually started as a U.S. business. Now we have them coming in. Ultimately, today we're going to be diving into a topic that's as universal as Naruto's Tak no Jetsu change.
I'm glad I didn't have to say that word.
Yeah. and we're going to be talking about how 7-Eleven's buyout is kind of like our jumping point. So let's grab some slushies, or in our case, our Cokes and drinks, and let's kind of go because like I'm excited about this. So let's talk about 7-Eleven's situation real quick.
Okay.
The convenience store giant just got bought out, and what does it kind of mean for our late night snack runs? More importantly, what can it teach us about change? The buyout itself isn't just about who's selling hot dogs at 3 a.m. It's a perfect example of how change is the only constant in our world. 7-Eleven, a brand that's been around since 1927, again, started in America, then it's gone to other nations and it's progressively changed, is going through a major shift. It's like when Goku first went Super Saiyan. It was kind of like a big deal how things changed. Like everything just kind of changed.
Yeah.
This buyout isn't just about... It's... The company is adapting to new market trends, consumer behaviors, and economic realities. They're not just selling snacks anymore. They're reinventing what a convenience store can be.
And that's good.
Yes.
Because if I may add, because when they change, that forces other convenience stores to change as well.
Yes.
So actually, when that happens, the consumer ends up winning because everyone else has to up their game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%.
Yeah.
So the company is not just selling snacks anymore. They're looking to electronic vehicle charging station. They're looking into cashless store options. They're looking into new inventions to kind of help run things. As a matter of fact, we're gonna look at something real quick that we found that's in a Japan market that's really cool. It's a smoothie machine. Now we don't have smoothie machines in the States, so we don't have anything like that.
So that's more of like a fresh fruit smoothie.
Right. It very much is. So, like, what they're doing is they're going to be bringing in these ingredients. You're going to be bringing in these things. And, like, one of the other really cool things that they're going to be bringing in is bentos and onigiri. Now, we had onigiri. Onigiri is basically a rice ball. And a bento is a lunchbox. So they're bringing in these things, stuff that they make in Japan that actually produce money. Now, what's funny in Japan is you'll go to the convenience store like 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
In America, like, we're just like, yeah, we ain't doing that. But our culture has shifted so much, especially like millennials and Gen Z and even Gen Alpha wanting things convenient and fast, and growing up and looking at the convenience stores in animes, we're like, well, we wish our convenience stores were like that. That 7-Eleven's like, okay, we'll do that and we'll bring it to the States.
Yeah.
And that's really cool for me. So like this one is it's a chicken salad.
Interesting.
Yeah, this one is teriyaki chicken bento with chicken paired with a hot dog on a bed of rice. Okay. That everything sounds amazing other than the hot dog. Like, take the hot dog out and I'm good. This one is, again, we have onigiri with karaage. Karaage is Japanese fried chicken. How it's cooked is different than it is in the US. And then this is a breakfast scramble. And then we have the kula pork and cabbage bento. Like when I say like they're going to be changing things up, they're going to be pretty much changing things up. It's to help with the economic where we are with the economy. There's going to be priced better. At least those are the goals. Now, when we're talking about that, let's go and talk about superheroes.
Yeah. If you notice, change is not always bad. Change can be good. Many times it's needed.
Right.
So yeah, like what I find interesting, I've been into comics for a while. I haven't been as into comics lately as I was 5-10 years ago. And I remember I'm a big DC fan, and what I like, what I don't like, is the fact that DC has undergone some of these changes for various reasons. For the longest time you had the golden age of comics and you had the silver age, and I mean that's more just natural, and you just have all these stories that just kind of flowed together. Well, back in I think it was about 2000, I think it was 2012, they came out with what they called the New 52. DC came out the New 52, and that was a bit of just redoing what they had. It was changing things up. They kind of went back to I don't want to say back to square one, but it was a bit of a relaunch after the events of Flashpoint, and and it was really cool. And it was a way for them to have put out more titles, not just once a month, but like twice a month. And it was just really, it was kind of a big, it was a bit of a big deal. New 52, super awesome. They, a lot of the characters even, what they were wearing or how they were drawn, how they were animated changed. And it was really cool. It was like a breath of fresh air.
Kind of like how Marvel went through the Marvel 2 series.
Yeah, Marvel went through it as well. And then about 4 years later, or so back in, I think it was about 2016, DC decided they weren't just going to do Rebirth. They weren't just going to do New 52. They wanted to do Rebirth, which was, again, a bit of a relaunch, which I really wasn't against. I kind of understood it. But, again, it was just kind of, hey, we're going to take these characters, we're going to draw them a little bit different, we're going to change some things up here and there, and all right, we'll be good. All right, and so I enjoyed it. But even since then, they've had a few other things come up where they've not relaunched, but still kind of changed things up. And again, I'm a huge DC fan, but after a while, it's like, why can't we stick to one thing? Now, there's a few ideas as to why things change. They think like management, different people. One person was the CEO, and then this other person came in, and they wanted to make things different, and this and that, and I don't mind some of the changes, but again, like change can be good. Like Batman's pretty much been the same for the longest time. Well, hold on. I'm just saying for the most part, and then so coming in and changing certain aspects of it, making him look more buff, or changing maybe the tint of the yellow in his logo or whatever. Now I know they have various Batmans. All right,
I was about to say, because what about the Batman off and he?
Well, okay, and again, and well, yeah, and like with that, like now we have, we talk about the multiverse, and so you have Batman on Earth 1. We have, Batman on, Earth 52. We have Batman on Earth, on Earth 5. Like there's different characters. Like there's one Earth where the Justice League, like you have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, like you have the Justice League, but they're all evil. And one of my favorites.
Bizarro League is good.
One of my favorites though, they did this because DC has always like been owned by Warner Brothers, so, or at least in partnership with them. So there's one where Bugs Bunny is Superman. Yeah.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. So the point is, like they've had these changes, and the changes aren't necessarily bad, because if you take something and you keep doing it the same way, eventually it's gonna change. I'm saying
don't get ahead of us.
No. I know. But the point is, like we just sometimes we need to change, and it's for the betterment. It's hard, but we need to. And going back a little, 7-Eleven can look at something and say, well, we've been doing things like this. Let's change things up. What do the people want? Look at music. Music has changed so much in even 5 years ago compared to what it is now. Now, for nostalgic reasons, we like our music. We like the older music. But music today, teenagers today don't necessarily like the same music that we listened to when we were their age. In fact, what's really bad is a lot of the music we listened to as kids is now considered oldies. Don't get me started on that. But
Boomer! Boomer!
So yeah, and so anyway, so like I said, there's a lot of changes within the comic realm, but there needs to be. Now just don't keep changing it on me.
Changes like TikTok said like a movie came out in 1980, okay, and I forget what movie it is, and somebody, or when did Lion King come out?
94.
94, okay.
93, I think it was 94.
Right, 94. Okay. I'm gonna mess with your head a little bit.
Okay. You always do.
How old were you when how old were you?
94, I would have been 6.
Okay.
5 or 6.
Okay. This year marks 20 years since it 30 years. Sorry.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about. I'm old.
So, like,
but that's okay, because you're 2 years older than I am, so.
Yeah, but I don't act it. You act older than I do.
Sometimes.
A lot of the time.
Sometimes.
All right, where were we?
Changes.
Right.
I was talking about different changes, you know, that have been made. You know, I know like one thing this is also talking about is, you know, Superman, even not just in comics, but like in the movies. You know, look at Christopher Reeve, what his suit looked like.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Adventures of Lois and Clark with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. His suit looked different. And then you look at, you know, more modern, like Henry Cavill, who was my favorite Superman, you know, from Man of Steel, Justice League.
We're not starting on that.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
We're going to leave that one alone.
I liked Henry Cavill. You know, I looked at his suit. You know, I watched Smallville growing up. I look at Tom Welling, him as Superman, and it's changed from classic Christopher Reeve to now Henry Cavill to actually he's not Superman anymore, and they have someone new because James Gunn is doing his thing, and so we're gonna have a new Superman, which it's gonna take some time, but
yeah,
that's okay.
If anything, comics icons can't.
Yeah.
Same thing is with people, church, even business. They have to evolve.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like for monkeys. I'm talking like,
Well, I don't know the way some people act.
Not going there. Not going there.
Anyways, go ahead.
We're talking about how, like, you know me, I love anime. I absolutely love anime. That's my jam. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and swing over there.
Okay.
Do you remember how Naruto started as this annoying little kid that everyone hated?
Okay.
Never seen Naruto.
I know who he is, and I know what he looks like. I know the Naruto run where it's like, I remember a few years ago when they were trying to get a group of
They actually did get a group to do that.
To Naruto run into Area 51. I think there was one guy who like started to, but then he knew what was gonna happen. So
he got arrested. Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
So Naruto starts off as like this annoying little kid. Everybody hated him. They fast forward till Shippuden, and in Shippuden he character that people kind of start to rely on. There's a lot of people fast and what he's got trapped inside. And we later find out Mara, but that's starts off as a kid, and through his journey, he was just about learning new, adapting to new, and embracing change. A bit like how 7-Eleven has up with sudden shifts in the market. You never know when you might need to escape from or a global and of a long-running series. Talk about One Piece. Luffy's been selling on the Grand Line for over 20. That's 1,000 episodes. 20 minutes long. It would take you almost 3 years nonstop to watch it. Like, he's not the same rubber boy who set out from Fushla Village. He's grown, he's changed, and he's gotten stronger. Just how 7-Eleven might evolve under this. Epic Saga has been running for why? Because it's constantly evolving. It's constantly new islands, new challenges. Luffy and are just so fine. They're navigating the waters of change.
Good.
Kind of like in My Hero Academia, world adapting change. How operate in the world.
Yeah.
You have people born no superpowers at all, and as they aged up, there's a character called Deku who doesn't get powers. So All Might gives him his power through All for One. Yeah, All for One. Or no, One for All. One of the two.
All for one and one for all.
Yeah. Deku's constantly pushing himself, adapting to powers, adapting to challenges. Perfect metaphor of how business like 7-Eleven needs pushing themselves ahead, much like in Inner Spirit Talks.
Absolutely. We don't need to be stagnant, because if we're stagnant, we're not moving forward. As Christians, we're called to grow, to constantly be growing. You know, at no point do we ever stop and we say, you know what, I am the epitome of a Christian. I'm done. Like, at no point do we excuse me, at no point do we do that. I mean, we see Jesus constantly praying. Jesus was literally the Son of God.
Yep.
He's part of the Trinity, and yet he constantly talked to God. He was still learning. He was still teaching. He was still growing, and he was showing his disciples that's what we need to do. We need to constantly be doing this, and not just that, but you know, the Bible's full of people who have made changes, who had to make changes. There's a lot of people who should have made changes, but they didn't, and bad things happen. But then there's people who they made a change and their lives changed.
Yeah.
Literally, it changed the course of their life. Like Saul, for example, who later became Paul. He is the epitome of a change. I mean, this dude literally persecuted Christians, and yet one day
killed Christians.
He persecuted, threw them in jail, and he killed them.
One of my favorite people who held the coats for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yet the Lord says, I still choose you. I have a calling on your life. And Saul answered that. Like, Saul would have been like the last guy you would have thought of. And yet God still said, I choose you. I want you to make this change. And I'm curious, you know, I mean, Saul was blinded, but I wonder what would have happened if Saul said, you know what? I don't want to. Like, I'm just not going to do this. We'll never know, because he did. He accepted the calling of Jesus, and he went to the town, and oh my gosh, what's his name? Who took care of him? The Lord spoke to him as well. Putting myself on the spot. Anyways, dude took care of him, and we end up going from Saul to Paul, and he just completely changed who he was. And because of that, we have 2/3 of the New Testament were written by Paul. We have a lot of our theology was written by Paul. A lot of our New Testament theology comes from what Paul had said. I mean, if you think of influential people in the Bible, Jesus is obviously at the top, but after that, you're probably gonna get Paul right after that, because of how influential he is. And so Saul needed this change. God saw that, and he said, there's gonna have to be a change. And Saul said, wow, this is extreme, but okay, I'll do it. And so he did, and look where we're at today.
Yeah, it's change as a whole. 7-Eleven narrative. This is Saul became Paul and changed 7-Eleven's buyout and change to potentially change the league. Hey, and we were talking about how great this could earlier today, because they're going to change how things are done here in the when this happened. Much like churches, we're going to put on this pedestal for a second.
I was gonna say, we're stepping up to the soapbox.
One of me and his hated sayings in the church is, "We've never done it that way."
or we've always done it this way.
We've always done it. Hey, like, either way, if you refuse to change, so doing things the same way over and over and over and over again, expecting different results is the mission. Much like, if you're a pastor of a church, or you're a church, or you go to a church and you're like, I want to reach the lost, I want to see new people come, but yet you're always doing the exact same thing and never changing.
Yep.
I hate to break it to you. One of my, I don't think I've ever told you this. One of the last arguments I ever got in with my he passed was pastor, and I told him, I go, the gospel should never change, but how you present it.
Agreed.
He goes, nope. How you present the gospel should be the same way like it was in the 1950s all the way through now. No. You want to know why? Because it isn't effective. It does not work.
Correct.
If I approach you and say, hey, I love you, and I see this need, can I tell you how you can fulfill that need? More likely to listen than if I come up to tell you and go, hey, you're going to go burn in hell for all eternity. Don't repent from your... Sorry, not sorry. I said it there.
Yeah.
Cancel me if you want to.
I agree 1,000%. Again, look at music. Why do you have contemporary services and you have traditional services?
Let's not get on that subject.
Because our last episode, and let's go a little deeper. Last episode, we talked about KJV only. Why? Because that's like the earliest text. That's what was preached.
It wasn't really.
So it had. Well, that's what people. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying that's what people think because that's what they've been told. And so we look at it and we say, well, this is how we have to do church. And the truth is, no. Can we have a good combination? My mentor, put it best like this. We honor the past, but we look to the future. So that doesn't mean throw out the past and we only look to the future. And that doesn't mean we only look to the future that we forget about the past. We don't stay stuck in the past that we miss what's in front of us, but we don't stay so much in front of us that we forget where we've been.
Right.
But the world, like you said, society is always changing. I've heard this statistic. Culture changes every 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
Churches change every 5 to 10 years.
Sometimes less.
So why is it taking the church so long to catch up? Because we have to do the same songs. We have to preach the same way. We have to minister the same way. We have to present the gospel the same way. We have to do all this stuff the same way. And we wonder, why are there some churches that are growing, but my church is not? Now, there's a variety of factors. You know, we can't just say it is just this one, because I mean, I've seen some churches that, you know, they're not growing for other reasons, you know. But the point is, there needs to be a change. And in college, I was taking this media course, and the means of the message change. What is it? The means of the message changes.
The means of the media change with the message.
Correct. And so,
I didn't have to take that class.
I mean, it wasn't a hard class. It was fairly easy. But anyways, the point is, we can't get so stuck on this is how we've always done it that we miss out. Because like you said, I mean, even for me today, if someone came up to me and says, you're going to burn in hell if you don't repent, I'm just going to be like, I don't know what doctrine you're preaching, because the doctrine that I know, which is clearly from the Bible, tells me I can repent and I'm not going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's how you do it.
Yeah. So, bottom line is just how the church needs mentally, physically, Yes, it is life. Um, basically, like, not change. You're constantly um have like in 7-Eleven, uh changing what, and my biggest I became an atheist, how the church reacted. And oh, so what are some questions and listen, we got a few questions.
I do have one. I have
Okay.
a question for you, Stephen. I'd
All
like
right.
for you to address. All right?
All right.
To address my change concern. What if I just really like things the way that they are?
Well, that's called a comfort zone. Comfort zones are nice, but that's
My
not
bubble.
where the magic happens.
Don't pop my bubble.
If you ask, like, you could ask Goku, and if, like, he never left his comfort zone, he'd still be that little monkey boy, Pazu. Changes where growth happened. Here we discover new add. And, like, you're going to have things in comfort zones. If you don't change, stay in your comfort zone, you're not going to grow. Point blank.
Yeah. That's good.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
How do I know if change is a good?
That is a really great question.
Okay.
You know, sometimes we don't know until we try. You remember when Vegeta first showed up? Seemed like bad news, right?
See.
But look at how that turned out. He became one of the good guys and a crucial ally.
Only after he met Boma, but that's besides the point.
Look, the point is, change often comes with uncertainty, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's all about how we adapt and what we make of it. You know, it really does come down to us trying to figure out, because we talked about this actually, like our first episode. We talked about change, and we talked about, you know, sometimes we need to make a change because we recognize it, and sometimes other people recognize it as well. Sometimes it's destructive, and when we have those people who love us, who are like, no, something's going on, I think you need to address this. Yeah. And that's the hard part, is it does bring uncertainty, because we like our comfort zones and all that. But Steven, what if I'm just so scared of this change?
Oh, natural. Like in Inside Out, like fear is a primary emotion. In All Might or My Hero Academia, you have All Might. It's scare time. Like, remember, if you go beyond and do, like they say in the anime, go plus ultra, face the fear head on. It's okay to be scared, but don't stop you from moving. Think about how Deku faces his fear. Often terrified, he's often the weakest person in the thing, often the one strong most. But he pushes through, knows it's the grow and achieve it. So, what's the takeaway of all today? Well, the takeaway is this: from all the nerdy ramblings that we have said today, and we say a lot, we need to remember that change is a superpower. It's your quirk, superpower. Your devil fruit ability, your Kryptonian heritage, if you want to say that. Or if you're a Batman fan, I guess. Dollars. But we're not going there. Embrace it, run with it, and who knows? You might just save the world or level in life.
That's true.
Change is what turns Bruce Batman's into Kage and Luke Pirate King. Technically he's still working on it, but that's besides the point. It's what allows 7-Eleven to grow from a simple ice house in 1927 to a global now who knows what they might. 7-Eleven buyout is more than just a reminder that everything is subject to change. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Opportunity for growth, for improvement, becoming something better than before. The next time you walk into a 7-Eleven, hopefully it's clean, let's be honest. Or any or any place that's going through changes, remember this. Change is the spice of life. Things interesting. What allows us to grow. To become the best of ourselves. And hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed by changes, remember even Saitama from One Punch had to go through a rigorous and training regimen to become the hero he is. Change might not always be, but it's always worth it. So embrace change, my fellow nerds. Be like Goku, always striving to reach the next level. Be like Deku, who's be like Batman, and new files. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll look back and realize that you become the hero. Now, if you'll excuse me, me and Jason are going to be off in a second. Who knows what new this next week? May go to 7-Eleven after this just because
It's Slurpee.
and see those brightly lit aisles. Maybe we'll discover that new Slurpee that's good, or maybe I'll just have a satisfying a late night craving way. I'm ready for what it is. Remember, in the words of the great Monkey D. Leaf, if you don't take risks, you can't create. So here's a change to growth and to ever the future. Jason?
So I got nothing else to add except, yeah, we just need to make sure, don't be afraid of change. Change can be good. It helps us to stay relevant, and it reminds us that the world is ever changing, and that's okay. And so should we, always striving for what's best, right? So I'm going to close this out if that's all right. We are the Geek Theocast. We are navigating the cosmic crossroads of faith and fandom. Until next time, fellow travelers, may your quests be legendary, your insights divine, and may the force of geekdom be with you. Stay geeky, stay faithful, stay tuned, and as always,
Excelsior.
Excelsior. We love you guys. We're praying for you all. If you have any questions or